Hello everyone and welcome to the big game. I'm John Sartori alongside Jordan Reams, and on today's show we'll see if the Saints could return to winning form at home.
And we'll also see if the soccer team can make it back to the Southland Conference tournament.
But first, let's head out to Strawberry Stadium to see if the Lion football team could keep their winning streak alive. The Southeastern football team took to the field Saturday, coming off an impressive 37-3 win over Houston Baptist on homecoming. The Lions would entertain the number 18 ranked team in the nation, Central Arkansas, who came into the contest undefeated in Southland play. The winner would have an inside track to the FCS playoffs. Let's take to the field to see who would come out victorious in this pivotal Southland Conference matchup. Southeastern taking on Central Arkansas from Strawberry Stadium. First quarter, Hayden Hildebrand going to get on the board first for UCA into the end zone. 7-0. Central Arkansas leads early. Now, this is basically how the whole day went for Southeastern as Hildebrand's pass picked off by Demarie Lane, and he says, "Coach, I'm going to go make a play. I'm going to return this one. Watch me make some moves." Bam. "Coach, I'm going all the way to the house. Oh, Coach, I fumbled the football." UCA got it. That would lead to a UCA field goal, and then Justin Allo looking to get back in the game. He says, "I'm going to drive us down the field." Interception. UCA coming back the other way. Tyler Williams gets a block. Brandon Acker waiting at the goal line. He's like, "I've got the ball," but it's too late. It's too late. It's a touchdown. 17-0. After a Southeastern field goal, UCA would add to their lead as Cody Dusk sliding catch in the end zone. 24-3 the halftime score. But Southeastern's going to come back in the second half, right? Well, they got the explosive Deshae Landor offense that fumbles the football. 31-3. That would lead to another UCA touchdown on the slant, as Desmond Smith says this is what an X looks like. 38-3, but the Lions finally get on the board as the special teams outscores the offense on this day, as Courtney Rutledge scores his second touchdown of the season, the freshman from Shreveport. 38-10. The comeback is on as the Lions get the onside kick and get the explosive Deshae Landor offense back on the field. On fourth down, you got to make a play. So what do? You throw it away on fourth down. Makes a lot of sense. This was the day it was for UCA, as Jarvis Cooper will get the handoff. Max Lyons will force the fumble, and Jakari Dillard scoops it up. The easiest touchdown of the season for Dillard, and Southeastern loses by 45-10. Brandon Acker, no receptions in the game, as Southeastern loses to UCA.
The Lion football team was unable to stop the impressive UCA Bear attack. I was able to take a closer look at the Lions' loss in this week's Southeastern analysis. In their matchup against the University of Central Arkansas, the Lion offense struggled to produce while the defense struggled to contain the rushing attack of the Bears.
Well, they pretty much dominated us up front, and then, like I said, I don't know how many turnovers we ended up having. 4. You got 4 turnovers. We're 4 of 13 on third down and 4 turnovers. That's a combination of being outplayed and not executing.
We was gonna do what we do, and that's run the ball. We tried our best to get it accomplished, but we fell short. We just got to do better.
Another factor that hurt the Lions' chances in this matchup was senior starting quarterback Justin Allo going down with injury.
I mean, he kind of hurt. He's, I'm not saying I'm putting on, but he gives us a different lift, a little leadership. I mean, it's not just on that. It wasn't on that. They whooped us up front on both sides of the ball.
The Lions dug themselves into a hole that they could not dig themselves out of, giving up 288 yards on the ground, 495 yards of total offense, and turning the ball over 4 times against a talented University of Central Arkansas squad that is undefeated in conference play. Now we'll see what the Lions can do next week as they take on Incarnate Ward in San Antonio, Texas. For the big game, I'm Jordan Reams.
Jordan, that was a really good job.
Thank you, man.
That was better than a 45-10 performance on your end. Following the disappointing loss, there's no time to waste as the Lions look to keep their playoff hopes alive. This Saturday, Southeastern will travel to San Antonio, Texas to take on the UIW Cardinals, and Freddie Rosario has this week's Southeastern opponent preview.
The Southeastern football team is looking to bounce back from a 45-10 blowout by the hands of the University of Central Arkansas Bears. while the University of Incarnate Word is looking to upset the Lions and end a 6-game losing streak, also trying to get their first win at home of the season. The Lions travel to San Antonio, Texas with a question at quarterback. Starter Justin Allo is still coming off an injury he suffered 2 weeks ago, and backup Deshae Landor is coming off a lackluster performance against the Bears. Allo has passed for 1,362 yards in the season with 12 touchdown passes. He also averages 200 yards a game through the air. While Allo has been healthy, he has proven to be the Lions' best chance to win. The Southeastern rushing attack has proven to be a consistent bunch, with 3 backs with over 300 yards in the season. Rasheed Harrell leads the way with 357 yards and 3 touchdowns, but Julius Marcelin and Kalen Henderson aren't far behind. On the other hand, Incarnate Ward can't catch a break, having lost 6 straight games. Their most recent defeat came to Stephen F. Austin, 42-19. The Cardinal quarterback, Trent Britton, has thrown for over 1,500 yards in the season with 12 touchdown passes. The leading rusher for the Cardinals is Broderick Reeves, who has rushed for close to 400 yards on the year with 5 scores. In their last 3 matchups, the Cardinals have the edge, winning 2 of the last 3 against the Lions, including a 16-2 victory at Strawberry Stadium. In that game, Justin Allo threw 2 interceptions and under 100 yards passing. The last time the Lions traveled out to San Antonio, they destroyed the Cardinals 63-7, but that was with Brian Bennett at quarterback. With both teams in need of a win, the squad that gets the most consistent play out of their quarterback and their running game should come away with the victory. For the big game, I'm Freddie Rosario.
Following a loss on the road to the Kansas City Chiefs, the New Orleans Saints return home to take on one of the powerhouses of the NFC, the Seattle Seahawks. Will the team find a way to win their 3rd game in 4 weeks? Let's head out to the Superdome for the highlights. Saints and Seahawks going at it in the Dome. You have to love when the Legion of Boom comes to town. Well, unless you're Mark Ingram, then you're watching Earl Thomas scoop up your fumble and bring it back 34 yards for a touchdown. Look at Earl go, folks. Woo! Have a ball, kid. Now the Saints are looking to answer back with this Will Lutz 22-yard field goal. Can he do it? Yes, he can. 7-3, Seahawks. But things got tricky here. You see Wilson lateral to Tanner McAvoy, who slings it to CJ Precise for the big gain. Gotta love when rookies make big plays, John. Now that play set up this 2-yard touchdown run by Christine Michael. And just like that, it's 14-3, Seahawks. Saints offense can't find his mark, but Lutz says, guys, I got us. 53-yarder, good. Now 14-6. Everyone loves to kick it when they make it, man. Drew Brees channels his inner jump man with this leap into the end zone. Man, you just gotta love Drew sometimes. Look at him. That man. 3rd quarter, it's 14-13 Seahawks until Stephen Hoskin nails the 44-yarder. But Will Lutz says, hold up, brother, this is my show. 21-yarder. Both kickers earning a check in this one, guys. Brees always earns a check. Finds Brandon Cooks for the 4th quarter touchdown. The 2-point conversion would fail, so remember that. It would stay 22-17 Saints until Hoskin says, back at it again with his 21-yarder. Good. Lutz says, bro, it's still my show. 41-yarder. Bang. 25-20 Saints. Play of the game right here. Can Russell Wilson put the dagger in? The answer is no, he can't. Saints will hold on to win 25-20. They would overcome what most people thought they couldn't. Drew Brees, 265 yards on the day, a touchdown. Wilson, 253 yards with 1 interception. Dante Hightower, 26 carries, 102 yards. Heck of a day by that young man. The big game's Dylan Domain was in the Dome for Sunday's win over the Seahawks and will break down the Saints' 2nd home win of the season in this week's Saints Analysis.
With their 6th all-time meeting in the Superdome, the 4-1-1 Seahawks came to New Orleans to take on the 2-4 Saints. The defense started well for Seattle following a Mark Ingram fumble when safety Earl Thomas returned the fumble 33 yards for the score. However, the Saints' offense were able to move the ball effectively against the Seahawks' defense after the 1st quarter. Tim Hightower, who replaced Mark Ingram, had 102 yards on just 26 carries. Drew Brees completed 77% of his passes while also throwing for 265 yards. The Saints' offense drove the ball in the red zone 5 times, but were only able to convert 2 of those drives to touchdowns as Brees ran the ball in for a score and threw a 2-yard touchdown pass to Brandon Cooks. Russell Wilson for Seattle put up similar numbers to Brees as Wilson threw for 253 yards for the game. The Seahawks' total rushing amount did not exceed 100 yards as they were only able to run for 74 yards for the game. Jimmy Graham's return to New Orleans was kept quiet as he was held to only 3 catches for 34 yards. Rookie kicker Will Lutz turned out to be a key contributor to the Saints scoring as he was perfect, going 4 for 4 on field goals. Even with the Saints defense facing many injuries, they were able to hold the Seahawks when it mattered.
One thing I think that we do well on this team is just understand the next man up mentality. You know, because at any time, man, somebody can go down with an ankle or a little injury or something like that. You have to be ready to step up and fill the void.
The Saints were able to win their second home game of the season against the Seattle Seahawks in a game that literally came down to the final seconds. The Saints defense were able to hold the Seattle offense on the final drive of the game as New Orleans would win 25-20. The Saints will look for 2 wins in a row next week in San Francisco against the 49ers. For the big game in the Superdome, I'm Dylan Doming.
Coming up after the break, we'll check in with the tennis and golf teams as they approach the end of their fall seasons. The big game, we'll be right back. Welcome back to the big game. The Lions soccer team capped off its regular season with a must-win game against rival Nicholls State, and the big game's Richie Solaris headed out to Strawberry Stadium to report on all the action.
The Lady Lions came up clutch in a win-or-go-home game by defeating Nicholls State 3-0 in the last regular season game of the season. The win clinched Southeastern its 11th straight Southland Conference tournament appearance. The game got off to a slow start as there wasn't a goal scored until the 30th minute. Although the game was tied for most of the first period, the two teams were not even. Southeastern was able to push into the Lady Colonels' territory a few times and took some shots before the first score of the game. The Lady Lions' defense was a rock-solid wall, rarely allowing their opponent near their goal in the first half. They held Nicholls to just 10 shots all game. Southeastern goalie Hope Sabadash recorded 4 saves on the day as she helped her team to their 5th shutout of the season. The Lady Lions continued to play aggressive in the second period, spending much of their time in Colonel territory. In the 64th minute, the ball was deflected off of Amber Marinero and then was headed in by Linda Carlson, making it 2-0. Southeastern would score its final goal of the game in the 76th minute when Maddie Kresovic beat the goalie with a kick to the right of the net. Southeastern then decided to play conservatively and run out the clock. The pivotal win elevated Southeastern's record to 7-10-2 and put the Lady Lions as the 5th seed in the Southland Conference tournament. They will take on number 4 seed Houston Baptist for the first game of the Southland tournament. For the big game, I'm Richie Solaris.
The win over Nicholls now sends the Lady Lions into the Southland Conference tournament as the number 5 seed. The Lady Lions are the returning tournament champions and will take on the number 4 seed Houston Baptist at 7 p.m. Wednesday night. The winner of that match will take on the number 1 seed Central Arkansas in the semifinals. To give an update on how the Lady Lions made it into the tournament, we'll throw it over to the big games. Andrew Dismutes.
After a 3-0 victory over Sam Houston State, the Southeastern Lady Lions looked poised to make noise in the Southlands Women's Soccer Conference. In the win over Sam Houston, goalkeeper Hope Sabadash defended 4 shots on goal in the shutout victory over Sam Houston State. The number added to her school record for saves, but Sabadash is only playing to get wins, not records.
It's just an honor. It's an honor just to be here and to play with this team. And, saves, records aren't really what it's about, you know what I mean? Like, we're looking on a conference tournament right now. Well, Nicholls on Friday, conference tournament after that, so just focus on that.
Amber Marinero and Sophia Olsen scored the first 2 goals of the game with a closing goal by senior Casey Peacock.
This past weekend, I think we were super physical and let the other teams know that we were there to make a statement and to play hard. And against Central Arkansas, we're the only team that scored on them twice, and I think that's a really big confidence booster that, yes, we do need to finish on more chances, but that we have created chances and we have been finishing.
The Lady Lions entered their next game against Stephen F. Austin tied for 4th in the conference, looking to take a big jump in the standings. However, the momentum didn't carry over for the Lady Lions as they took a 4-0 loss against Stephen F. Austin.
Well, I think we just need to improve on our overall consistency. We've been creating a lot of chances this year and, finishing those chances at a higher rate. and just consistency on the defensive side of the ball is going to help us a lot on Friday night.
In the win against Sam Houston State, the green and gold allowed only 4 shots on goal. In contrast, they allowed 11 shots on goal against Stephen F. Austin. In the following game against Central Arkansas, the Lady Lions staged an exciting back-and-forth battle. Southeastern couldn't come out with the victory, losing 3-2 on a quick go-ahead score early in the second half for Central Arkansas.
This weekend against Nichols, I think we really need to continue working on switching the ball like we have the past few weeks in practice. We need to finish on our opportunities. I think we're the leader in the conference of creating chances on goal. We need to make sure we finish those, and if we play hard, I think we'll do fine.
The Green and Gold had an opportunity to right their wrongs the following game against Northwestern State, but fell in a 4-0 shutout. The loss dented the Lady Lions' dreams for a great seed in the conference tournament, but did not crush the hopes to end the season on a high note against Nichols State.
We just need to play our game. I mean, play as a team as opposed to individuals and take it to Nichols.
Tired of the consecutive losses, the Lady Lions took their frustrations out on Nichols State with a 3-0 shutout victory. Christina Katura, Linda Carlson, and Maddie Kresovic scored goals in the win, and the same will be needed to do some damage in the Southland Conference tournament.
We've been playing hard lately the last couple games, and we've been showing a lot of heart, so we need to keep bringing that to the table every night. And you know, just staying together and fighting for one another is going to be really big for us Friday as we're fighting to stay to get into the tournament.
Southeastern enters the conference tournament as the 5th seed and will look to build off this victory on November 2nd in Corpus Christi against Houston Baptist at 7 p.m. For the big game, I'm Andrew Dismukes.
The Lady Lion volleyball team closed out the home portion of their schedule this week. The Lady Lions were able to take care of McNeese State on the road last Saturday before returning to the UC for the final time in 2016, where they lost 3-1 against Central Arkansas. The Lady Lions have 3 matches remaining before the Southland Conference tournament and currently sit half a game behind McNeese for the 8th and final spot in the tournament.
The golf team wrapped up the fall portion of its schedule this week. The Lions finished 7th out of 10 as a team at the ULM Duck Commander Classic. Seniors Paul Overman and William Myers tied for 10th individually at the tournament. The Lions will now have off until February 18th when they begin their spring campaign at the University of Houston's All-American Intercollegiate.
The Southeastern cross-country teams closed out their 2016 season with a trip to the Southland Conference Championships. The Lions and Lady Lions each finished 10th out of 13 teams at the meet.
The Lady Lion tennis team will conclude their fall schedule with the home tournament this weekend. The Lady Lions will host the George E. Formo Cup as they look to close out their fall campaign on a high note. Matches will begin this Friday at the Southeastern Tennis Complex.
The Lady Lion basketball team is hoping the hiring of head coach Errol Goff this offseason will provide instant success on the court. The ladies will have a challenging season opener as they head to Oxford, Mississippi to take on the Ole Miss Rebels. Meanwhile, the men's basketball team is gearing up for a new season following an impressive run in conference play last season. The Lions will host Millsaps College to open up the season at home on November 11th. And joining us now on the desk to give us an inside look at the men's team is former Lion basketball player Anochi Ochi. Thanks for joining us, Anochi.
How y'all doing? It's a blessing to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. So looking back at last year, into this year, the momentum that the team had, winning all those home games, all those conference games to finish off the season last year, how do you see that following up into this year?
Oh, I definitely see them following up. I mean, they are really deep this year. I mean, this is one of the more deep teams that I've seen. Coach Ladden has done a great job recruiting, bringing players from all over the country. So they're definitely geared up for a long, good run to compete for a Southland Conference championship.
Anochi, what's something that you see in this team that you didn't see in the team you were on when you played here?
I mean, it's the depth. You know, we dealt with a lot of injuries my first year. I mean, toward the end of the season, we had, I think, 6 players. So they're deep. They can go 10 to 12 deep. And so they're so deep, and the depth is the reason I think they're going to be very successful this season.
One of the players that I saw that I think could make a really big impact this year is Jab Singleton. He's a transfer from Oral Roberts. With Marlon Veal, who was the starter last year, now you have him as a 6th man essentially because of Singleton. How big an impact do you think Singleton could have this year?
I mean, Jab's a smart player, a savvy player. You know, he played at Ole Miss at a higher level, and he transferred here last year and sat out the year. So his level of expertise of playing at a higher level, it shows. I mean, he's just a savvy, intelligent guy, and you're going to see him be successful this year on the court.
Kind of sticking with players, what's it like seeing a guy like Jordan Capps out there dominate? What can you talk about him?
Yeah, he's a talented player, 6'7", 220, great body, very athletic. The first game he had about 23 points, so he did his thing. So I'm looking forward to him just to be a dominant big man. It's his senior year, and I know he's going to show out for Coach Ladner this season.
How do you see this team stacking up in conference play? Because this is a really tough conference, as we know.
Yeah, this team, like I said, this team's depth is crazy. I mean, we can go, I think, 10 to 12 to 14 deep. And not to mention, we had injuries to Josh Fillmore and Keith Carlston and two starters. So just imagine that they were there. But this team's depth is going to bring them, I think, to compete for a Southland Conference championship, no doubt.
Now, with this team, if you had to circle the biggest game of the year out of conference, it doesn't matter, which one would it be for these guys? I've heard they're pretty close as a unit.
Mm-hmm. The biggest game?
Yes, sir.
Honestly, man, one thing Coach Ladner always says, every game is the biggest game. The next game is the biggest game. So every non-conference game is going to prepare them for conference to make a great run. And I fully expect them to make an awesome run.
Finally, last question. How do you see this team finishing up this year?
I want to see a conference championship. You know, I'm not making any guarantees because I don't think that's smart. But this team has the talent, has the ability to compete with the best teams in the conference. Stephen F. Austin, Sam Houston, and those guys out there in Texas, McNeese State. This team, I think, has the ability to compete and maybe capture a title and maybe get to the tournament. It'll be exciting.
Anochi, thanks so much for joining us, man.
All right, thank you for having me.
Man.
Thank you for having me.
Anochi Ochi, former Lion basketball player, with a preview of the men's team this year. Yeah. When we return, we'll have some pick and roll with Freddie Rosario on the desk right here on The Big Game.
The Southeastern Channel offers a lot for sports fans.
Coaches shows, interviews with student athletes.
Football games, baseball games, basketball games.
I enjoy watching the coaches' insight programs after the online tracks because it does give our fans an insight of what happened during the game.
I enjoy watching the big game. You know, it gives me an opportunity to keep up with Southeastern athletics on a weekly basis. You know, not just football, baseball, basketball, but even the smaller sports, you know, like soccer and volleyball.
One of the things I've enjoyed most through the years watching is the production of the glory years.
It's a history, it's a documentation of where we've come from around here.
Solidified the reason why we brought Southeastern football back.
When the Southeastern Channel replays games, it helps the students be able to catch up and see what's going on.
I like to watch the baseball games and the football games.
It's the only time I get to watch Southeastern football is I get to see it on television. I don't ever have time to go.
Even athletics can be an educational experience when you involve the Southeastern Channel.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Big Game. I'm John Sartori alongside Jordan Reams, and joining us now on the desk is our guest expert, Freddie Rosario. Freddie, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, John. I got to redeem myself on a lot of stuff, so let's have a good one.
Yes, you do. We're going to start with Southeastern football. We'll start with the redemption there. So they have a tough loss against UCA last week. Justin Allen, we saw him go down. Deshae Landor getting the start against UIW. How do you see that game shaping out against UIW this week?
I was just 1 week off on my prediction of them losing, so I don't know if I need to redeem myself that much. But it's always going to be the quarterback issue with the Lions. The Lions will go as their quarterback goes. If Deshae has a good day, they're going to have a good day. If Justin Allen would have been in there, they would have had a better opportunity to win. But he's hurt. You got to go with Deshae. The running game is really going to be something that you're going to have to look out for. They have 3 backs with over, I think, 300 yards on the season. They each have a couple touchdowns each, so hopefully we get a good running attack, or the Lions get a good running attack that day, and they won't have to rely so much on the passing game.
And Jordan, UIW, there's a team that struggled so far this year, but last time Southeastern went up against a lesser opponent, Houston Baptist, they got the job done with Deshae Landor. Do you see the same happening against UIW?
I do, John. Like you said, UIW is a lesser opponent. Southeastern has a pretty good history of people that are, lesser than them. I don't want to say it like that, but the numbers speak for themselves. I think Deshae can get this job done, but eventually you need to get Allo back or give one of those young guys a chance if you want to move up and salvage this season.
Yeah, it's going to be a must-win game for Southeastern if they look to keep their playoff hopes alive. They need 7 wins to get in. And they need to win out to get those 7 wins. Starts with UIW, 2:30 on Saturday. We're going to transition to women's basketball. The women's basketball season about to tip off. Southeastern, as we know, not many wins the past few years. So, Freddie, how do you see the team looking this year?
I don't know about you, but I'm really excited what Errol Goff's going to bring to this team and the Lady Lions. And this defensive-minded, man. They're changing it up from that offensive-minded Yolanda Moore. Now they're going in with Errol Goff, defensive-minded. All the players are buying into it. Every time you interview them, all they want to do is talk about how defensive-minded the team is and how well they're going to do. And you're going to have to look to those veteran players to, carry the new people coming because there's a lot of fresh faces on that team. So look to the veterans to bring that team on and get a few wins this season.
Jordan, it's a team that only has 1 road win the past 2 seasons. So I don't know if it's going to be an immediate change, but Errol Goff definitely bringing a culture change. Maybe not wins on the court immediately, but he's bringing a culture change immediately to that team.
You're right, John. He is changing the culture. Being there in those practices, it's more intense. People aren't just lollygagging. He's a real get-in-your-face, do-it-this-way kind of coach, and that's what they need if they want to change the culture here. They have the potential to change the culture. They just need the leadership, and I think Goff brings that as a head coach.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Southeastern tips off the season at Ole Miss next week. So our last topic, the Pelicans. Anthony Davis is having a great season. The Pelicans not so much. They're off to an 0-4 start. Freddie, how do you see the rest of the season going?
I mean, can we start a GoFundMe to get Anthony Davis some help on the Pelicans team? Come on. 50 points game one of the best performances in season opener. Follows it up 4 straight games that he's done well. He's got 30 points averaging. It's like one of the first players ever to do that. And he just gets no help. Either the team's hurt or no one's scoring to help him out. I mean, come on. Anthony Davis is so undervaluated because he's playing on the Pelicans, and he would be one of the top 5 players in the league. Anywhere else, he'd be a playoff contender anywhere else, but he's got to be on the Pelicans, and they just need to find out what they want to do with all the other players around him to make them better. So hopefully, I mean, you don't know, they might have to put Anthony Davis at point guard and let him control the offense at one point to try to get somebody to score for him.
I mean, looking at that starting lineup last night, it was like E'Twaun Moore, Tim Frazier, a bunch of players who really should not have any business starting an NBA game. There's no help for Anthony Davis. But do you see the season going like it did last year, or do you see them making an improvement this year?
John, this is going to be another top 10 draft pick year. I'm sorry. He said it. Tim Frazier, E'Twaun Moore, they're decent bench players, but you don't start those kind of guys in the league. That's not a knock against them. They're just not as talented as, D'Angelo Russell, a Derrick Rose. No, you need more help. Dale Demps is failing that city. Davis will not spend his whole career in New Orleans at this rate because it's like watching LeBron in Cleveland before he blew up and brought them a championship and whatnot. But it's like watching that, and I'm sorry, Davis is not going to come back like LeBron did. So it's either get him some help now or kiss him goodbye in the future.
Well, you got him under contract for a few more years, and Dell Demps, you were right, has really let down the Pelican organization with some of the moves he's made the past few years. Buddy Hield, we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
He has potential.
He has some potential, but we'll see if the Pelicans can turn it around. That'll do it for Pick and Roll. When we return, we'll finish up the show with some quick hits. The big game. We'll be right back.
For the big game, I'm Richard Mills.
For the big game, I'm Colton Lee.
For the big game, I'm Dominique Rogel.
For the big game, I'm Nicole Fechet.
Born for the big game, I'm Tyler Wagensback.
Welcome back to the big game. Let's finish this show off with some quick hits. The first college football playoff rankings were announced last night, and a total of 124 teams in the FBS were crushed as they were not one of the 4 teams announced in the initial rankings. This playoff system has completely ruined college football. 4 teams is not enough for a playoff. Here's the solution: a 32-team playoff. Do away with bowl games entirely. Each conference champion will be guaranteed a spot in the playoff. The others will be at-large selections. I took it upon myself to create a 32-team bracket with these rules in place. First-round matchups include Army and Alabama, Florida and Florida State, and Texas A&M and Houston. Second-round matchups include Michigan and Oklahoma and Florida State versus Ohio State. Are you intrigued yet? In the Elite Eight, Clemson takes on Louisville, and the biggest rivalry in college football is relived: Michigan and Ohio State. In the Final Four, Bama and LSU, and Ohio State and Louisville. And finally, in the national championship, Alabama defeats Louisville, and all is right with the world. Unfortunately, this system is still flawed, and we'll never actually get to see this unfold. But remember, we'll always have our imagination.
A team I'm keeping my eyes on isn't in the NBA or in the NFL. They're not in the major leagues or the NHL. This team is right here in Hammond, America. I'm talking about the Southeastern Louisiana University men's basketball team. Since Coach Ladner took the reins, we've seen what some people wrote off as a mediocre team blossom into something that is formidable each year, albeit late. This is year 3 under Coach Ladner, and this is the year they break through. This is the year that they get over the hump. This is the year that they appear in the Southland Conference Championship game. They have all the pieces and the chemistry. Will they go 31-0? Probably not. But when the season is near its end, they won't be near the bottom of the conference. And that's all I have to say on that.
Fantasy sports have revolutionized how many sports fans watch sports. Sports fans still have their favorite teams, but now they have a reason to watch other games and root for different players. While it can be really exciting and fun, it can also be rage-inducing when a star player doesn't get you the points that you need or want. Players who underperform in fantasy don't care about that. They care about their stats. At the end of the day, that's all they care about is winning, not how many fantasy points they put up. A good example of this is this past year, Rob Gronkowski was the #1 pick for many fantasy owners, but went into the season hurt. And it took him a few weeks to get back into the groove and be his Gronk self. A kid at a grocery store who saw Gronkowski was angry that he wasn't doing well for his fantasy team. And Gronk's response, "Why'd you draft me then? You knew I was hurt." As much as we care about our fantasy teams and we want those players to do well, the truth is players just want to win. And if they happen to do well in fantasy, that's a bonus for you. But shout out to my man Jordan Matthews, who got me 65 yards and a touchdown to give me a 3-point win in my fantasy league. I might have gotten a lot of picks wrong here on the desk, but my fantasy team is 6-2 and leading the Big Games crew.
Fantasy.
Congratulations to the Michigan State Spartans for their participation in this year's college football season. Well, that'll do it for this episode of The Big Game. We hope you join us next time for some more Lion Sports. For more information on Lion Athletics, visit www.lionsports.net. For Freddie Rosario and Jordan Reams, I'm John Satori. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on The Big Game.